video, we left off by talking about how to create your own kit or how to search for a kit that someone else has already created. In this video, we are going to talk about how to go about either playing a live Gimkit game or assigning a Gimkit as an assignment. So let's start with playing a live Gimkit. If you want to play a live Gimkit, you would go to your Gimkit and press play. This is going to bring up a couple options. You either have the classic mode where students are competing individually, or you have team mode where students can work together and compete in teams. If you're doing this like currently, I have run a couple of these games remotely, so I don't know how many students are actually going to join, so I do individually. If I'm in the classroom, a lot of times I do teams, and then you choose how many people per team. Now, as they compete per teams, it will randomly split them into teams. So there's a lot of time, I have no idea how it's going to split the kids, randomly splits them up. If you don't have a perfect amount to make the team, it's totally okay. It will add in an extra person onto a team or two, and everybody will be placed onto a team. Now, your game goal, you have three options here. You can go with time, race, or all in. So time means you set the timer and it runs for that specific amount of time. I do the time often. Just depends on how long I'd like it to run for. It also depends on how many questions you have. Like this Gimkit only has 6 questions. So if I was doing this, I'd probably only put it on for about 2 or 3 minutes. When I get to a larger amount of questions, I'm going to put more time on the board. As students run through all the questions, it continues to then cycle through those questions again, which is nice if you're reviewing because it's going to keep showing those questions again and keep reinforcing those skills. If you click race, it means that all teams are racing to be the first one to reach the cash goal. So you would set the goal, whatever you want their total to be, and the first team to reach that goal, that is when the game ends. Or all in, where all teams are trying to earn as much money as they can, but the game ends when you have a total cash goal. So if this is your total cash goal, as soon as all the teams together hit that goal, the game would stop. Now you have a couple options down here. You have starting cash. So you can choose an amount amount of money they would start with. You have a handicap, so it never lets them go below a certain amount. You can change this if you want it to be 0. That way they never go into the negative. That's an option. Answer check, allow player to view correct answer after answering incorrectly. I usually turn that off simply because even when they get it wrong, they're going to see that question again. So I like them to work through it again and not just maybe memorize that answer so that they know it for next time. You can put music in it so that while they're playing, it'll have some sort of music. Clapping at the very end of the game, as it shows you like the first, second, and third, it allows them just to kind of click their keyboard and have claps. My kids absolutely love that. Join in late. I love this option because I know that sometimes my kids get kicked out during a game. This allows them to join in late. The code stays up at the top of the screen, so they are able to kind of keep jumping in. Shop options. Now, as I mentioned in our first video, Gimkit allows, as the students are earning money, allows them to use that money to buy upgrades. So power-ups. They have stuff like more money per question or a multiplier per question or a bonus streak so they can get more money as they answer more correctly. They can purchase different themes. I know that they can purchase sometimes different music, things like that, where it'll change the music for a certain amount of time. And then clean power-ups only allow power-ups that don't hurt other players. So there are such a thing as like icing another player, where if they buy that, they choose the team or the person that it ices, and it sits that person out for 15 seconds. Or they can pay for an upgrade that would take money away from another player or add money to another player. So it kind of depends on if you want to allow that. A lot of times I do allow that when we're in a live game classroom setting and they're working in teams, because the more options they have, it really forces them to think about what they want to spend their money on for the power-ups. Because as they spend their money, they're going to drop in rank. So they have to then be able to know that it's worth it to then be able to get themselves back up to a solid amount of money. When you're done with your choices, you would hit continue and change this back to individual. And then here's what this will look like. So students will always go to gimkit.com/play. They'll put in this code. It'll then ask them for their name. Once you have your certain amount of, when you have all your players or Like, because I have done this remotely, I really do it. We're starting at, let's say, 11 a.m. I'll post it on Google Classroom. And 5 minutes before I post this code for them, the website to go to, and, at 11 a.m., then I press start game. Kids can always join in late. And here it tells you kind of what you've chosen as to when the game ends. Now, I'm going to go back to our Gimkit and I'm going to talk about assignments really quickly. If you want to do this as an assignment, which is also perfect because it can be hard to play a live game when if you're doing this remotely and not all in the same place. So you can click new assignment, and here's what it is. You pick the kit. So you can either, like, I'm going to pick the math kit. If you have other kits, that'll give you that option too. You select a due date. So let's say I want them to do this by tomorrow, and I can select time if I want to, because right now it just shows no time. So this would just be they'd have to complete it by tomorrow. But if you want them to complete it by tomorrow at 8 p.m., then you could put that time. I haven't made any classes, so it doesn't give me this option. If you have made classes and have those students in those classes, then you can choose. Maybe you only want to assign it to certain classes. You can create your own title. So let's say you're doing this as extra credit. You can create that as a title. That way they know what it is. Or if it's just practice, you can list it as that. Target cash. So again, what are they trying to get to? This is when it will cut them off. What are they starting at? And is there a handicap? Is there a limit that you don't want them to go below? Because if they get questions wrong, they're going to lose money. Now, it says this is due in 15 hours. You can copy the link. You can go straight to Google Classroom or straight to Remind. Or if you're posting it somewhere else, just click copy link. And then manage. You can kind of see all your student progress. And right now, obviously, it's showing nothing because I have not shared this. I have not posted it, so no one has taken it. The last thing I kind of want to talk about is how you can use a Gimkit. So we've already kind of discussed this a little bit, but I have used Gimkit Lives within the classroom as review. I have used them as a quiz before. When I do it as a quiz, sometimes I've done it individually. Sometimes I've done it as within the team. I can still see the individual scores, but sometimes it's just more fun for them to compete in a team. I use this a lot for review. I just recently, now that my students are remote, I posted a Gimkit live and said, we're going to do a Gimkit live this day at this time. If you'd like to join 5 minutes before, I will post the code and we can play. And I had about 10 students playing. I've also posted this as an actual assignment for them. I use it as review, but I like to change up the way that we review our content sometimes. So this is just another way that they can. They absolutely love Gimkit because they love the fact that they're earning money towards, into their bank account or losing money if they get it wrong. So this is definitely a fun way to review with them. Other way that I've used it, it's as review, but I have had the students create their own questions. That really kind of tests what your students know and how much they've learned, but it also is fun for them to be a part of something that they know that they're going to play. So if you have every student create 3 questions on the topic that can go into your Gimkit, and those all go into your Gimkit, now if you have 10 students and everybody made 3 questions, you now have 30 questions. If you have more than that, every student can create 1 or 2 questions or even more. So it's a great way to get your students involved in what they're doing. Also, if you're reviewing, you can use like the seasons as kind of a way to have classes maybe compete against each other. I know my students are middle school, so any sort of competition they love. I hope that this has been really helpful for you and just kind of given you an overview of what Gimkit is, how to start with a Gimkit, how to create and search for kits, and different ways that you can assign and use a kit with your students.